Karen Mitchell, a woman who walked into Judge Judy's courtroom with unshakable confidence, was about to face the unthinkable. In a shocking twist, America's toughest judge was about to deliver a ruling that would send shockwaves through the legal world and leave this defiant plaintiff in absolute ruins. But what Karen didn't know was that Judge Judy had already uncovered something darker, something that would expose not just a lie, but a calculated scheme that had destroyed an innocent person's life. This video uncovers the courtroom showdown that's gone viral with over 30 million views and left legal experts speechless. Is this the most brutal courtroom takedown in television history? It all started with a whisper. Just after 9 a.m., inside the bustling halls of the courthouse, a young court clerk overheard something chilling. Karen Mitchell was seen entering the building with two witnesses and her sister, all dressed in business attire, confident and smiling like they'd already won. The clerk was organizing files near the waiting area when she heard Karen say to her friend, "Judy thinks she can intimidate me. She has no idea who she's dealing with. I've got documents, witnesses, everything. This'll shut her down in 5 minutes." The clerk stood frozen. She'd worked at this courthouse for 3 years and had seen hundreds of plaintiffs walk through those doors. But something about Karen's tone, that cold arrogance mixed with absolute certainty, sent chills down her spine. This wasn't just another small claims case. This was about to become legendary. By 9:30, that whisper had made it through the producer's office. Judge Judy, preparing in her chambers, was reviewing the case file one last time. She adjusted her glasses, leaned back in her chair, and said calmly to Bird, her trusted bailiff, "Another one who thinks confidence equals competence. Let's see how long that lasts." Bird chuckled knowingly. He'd seen that look in Judge Judy's eyes before. It was the look of someone who'd already spotted every hole in a story before the plaintiff even opened their mouth. Outside, the gallery filled quickly. Audience members buzzed with anticipation. Cameras were positioned. Producers gave final instructions. No one in that room knew what was about to happen. No one saw the storm coming. But that storm was already building, and it was coming straight for Karen Mitchell. If you love watching entitled people get reality checks in real time, don't scroll away. Hit that like button right now to support more courtroom justice content like this. Drop a comment below with "Judy never loses" if you think this Karen is about to learn the hardest lesson of her life. And subscribe so you never miss another epic takedown. We've got Judge Judy's most savage moments coming your way. Now back to the showdown. At 10 a.m. sharp, the courtroom was packed. Tension hung thick in the air like electricity before a storm. The bailiff Bird stepped forward with his signature commanding presence and called out, "All rise for the Honorable Judge Judith Scheindlin." The gallery rose in unison. Then she entered. Judge Judy walked in with that unmistakable stride, confident, deliberate, powerful. Her expression was unreadable, but her eyes scanned the room like a hawk surveying prey. She took her seat, adjusted her glasses with one finger, and opened the case file without a word. Across from her, Karen Mitchell sat at the plaintiff's table, arms crossed, smirking like she'd already won. She leaned over to her witness and whispered something, and both of them chuckled quietly. It was a fatal mistake. Judge Judy noticed everything. Karen was suing a young woman named Rebecca Torres for $5,000, claiming that Rebecca had destroyed her designer handbag during a house party and refused to pay for the damage. But this wasn't just about money. Karen had brought 3 large binders filled with printed evidence, 3 witnesses who sat nervously behind her, and a 47-page typed document she fully intended to read word for word. The audience leaned forward in their seats. This was going to be good. Someone in the back row was already live streaming the audio feed to social media. Judge Judy looked up from the file and said flatly, "All right, let's hear it." "Why are you here?" Karen stood up confidently, smoothing down her blazer. Her voice dripped with condescension. "Your Honor, I'm here because this woman, Rebecca Torres, maliciously destroyed my $1,500 Prada handbag at a party in my home. She spilled red wine all over it, laughed about it, and refused to take responsibility. I have witnesses. I have photos. I have documentation." Judge Judy stared at her. "Sit down when you talk to me." Karen blinked, caught off guard, but sat. She continued, "With all due respect, Your Honor, I know the law better than most people. I've done my research. I've watched every episode of your show, so I know exactly how this works." The courtroom went silent. Judge Judy slowly removed her glasses and placed them on the bench. "Excuse me." "Excuse me," she said, her voice dangerously calm. She pointed to the nameplate in front of her. "Do you see this? This says Judge Judith Scheindlin, not Karen Mitchell. I ask the questions here. You answer them. Do we have an understanding?" Karen's smirk faded slightly, but she pressed on. "Yes, Judge, but if you'd just let me finish explaining." "Let you finish." Judge Judy's voice cut through the air like a blade. "You haven't even started making sense yet. Sit there and be quiet until I ask you a direct question." Karen sat back, visibly annoyed but still confident. She muttered under her breath, "Unbelievable." Someone in the gallery gasped. Judge Judy's eyes narrowed. "What was that?" Karen shook her head quickly. "Nothing, Your Honor." Judge Judy turned to Rebecca, the defendant, a soft-spoken woman in her mid-20s who looked terrified. "Tell me your side." Rebecca opened her mouth to speak, but Karen immediately interrupted. "Your Honor, she's going to lie." "Sit down and be quiet," Judge Judy barked, her voice shaking the room. "Or you'll be watching this case from the hallway." "Do you understand me?" Karen froze. For the first time, doubt flickered across her face, but she said nothing. The camera zoomed in on Judge Judy's expression: steel, fire, and something deeper. She'd seen thousands of Karens walk through her courtroom, but this one was special. And Judge Judy was just getting started. Rebecca Torres took a deep breath and began her side of the story. Her voice was shaky but sincere. "Your Honor, I was invited to Karen's house for what she called a small dinner party. There were about 8 people there. I brought a bottle of wine as a gift. During dinner, Karen's own dog, a golden retriever, jumped up on the couch where her purse was sitting. The dog knocked over my wine glass, and yes, some of it splashed onto her bag. But it wasn't my fault. It was an accident caused by her dog." Judge Judy leaned forward, intrigued. "And what did you do after that?" Rebecca continued. "I immediately apologized. I offered to pay for cleaning. I even looked up leather cleaning services on my phone right there. But Karen started screaming at me in front of everyone. She called me careless and reckless. Then she demanded I pay her $1,500 on the spot." Karen rolled her eyes dramatically and whispered loudly enough for the microphone to catch. "Because that's what the bag cost." Judge Judy's head snapped toward her. "Did I ask you to speak?" Karen sighed heavily, her arms still crossed, the smirk returning. Judge Judy turned back to Rebecca. "Do you have any proof this dog was involved?" Rebecca nodded and pulled out her phone. "Yes, Your Honor. Another guest at the party recorded a video right after it happened. You can clearly see the dog jumping, the glass tipping over, and Karen yelling at me." She handed the phone to Bird, who brought it to Judge Judy. The courtroom fell silent as Judge Judy watched the 10-second clip. Her expression didn't change, but her eyes told the whole story. She handed the phone back and looked directly at Karen. "So your dog caused the accident?" Karen shrugged dismissively. "The dog wouldn't have jumped if she hadn't been holding the glass so carelessly." Judge Judy's eyebrows shot up. "Carelessly? She was sitting on your couch at your party in your home, and your untrained dog knocked the glass over. That's her fault." Karen leaned forward, her tone sharpening. "Your Honor, the bag is ruined. Someone has to pay for it. And since it happened because of her wine, she's responsible." Judge Judy shook her head slowly. "Let me see this bag." Karen reached into a shopping bag beside her and pulled out a large Prada handbag. She held it up like a trophy. "As you can see, Your Honor, there's a large stain on the side. It's completely ruined. Unwearable." Judge Judy took the bag from Bird and examined it closely. She turned it over, inspected the stain, even smelled it. Then she looked up at Karen with an expression that could freeze fire. "This stain is barely 2 inches wide, and it's on the bottom corner of the bag. You're telling me this $1,500 bag is completely ruined because of a 2-inch stain that most people wouldn't even notice?" Karen's face flushed. "It's the principle, Your Honor. It was brand new. I only used it twice." "Twice?" Judge Judy repeated slowly, her voice dripping with disbelief. "Let me see the receipt." Karen hesitated. "I don't have the receipt with me." "You don't have the receipt," Judge Judy repeated, "but you brought 47 pages of nonsense, 3 witnesses, and a bag you claim is ruined. Where did you buy this bag?" Karen stammered. I bought it online." "From Prada's website?" Karen looked away. "No, from a resale site." Judge Judy leaned back in her chair. "So you bought a used bag? From a resale site with no receipt, no proof of its value, and now you're suing this girl for $1,500 because your dog caused an accident at your own party." The courtroom was dead silent. Karen's confidence was cracking. Her face reddened. Her hands fidgeted with the papers in front of her. But she wasn't done yet. She straightened up and said louder than before, "Your Honor, I don't think you're taking this seriously." The room gasped. Even Bird's eyes widened. Judge Judy removed her glasses slowly, placed them on the bench, and stared at Karen with the kind of intensity that had made grown men apologize for crimes they didn't commit. "You don't think I'm taking this seriously?" Karen, emboldened by desperation or delusion, doubled down. "No, I don't. You're focusing on irrelevant details instead of the facts. I brought documentation. I brought witnesses. And frankly, Your Honor, I'm not intimidated by you." Judge Judy tilted her head slightly, her voice dropping to a deadly calm. "Is that so?" Karen nodded, her jaw set. "That's right. I don't fear you." The entire courtroom held its breath. Judge Judy stared at Karen for what felt like an eternity. Then, with a voice as cold as winter and as sharp as steel, she said, "That's your biggest mistake." It wasn't a threat. It wasn't anger. It was a promise. And Karen had just sealed her fate. Judge Judy's words hung in the air like a death sentence. Karen's face went pale, but she quickly tried to recover, shuffling through her binders with trembling hands. Judge Judy wasn't waiting. She turned to Karen's first witness, an older woman who identified herself as Karen's neighbor. "You were at this party?" Judge Judy asked. The woman nodded nervously. "Yes, Your Honor." "And you saw what happened?" The witness hesitated, glancing at Karen. "Well, I saw the aftermath. I heard the commotion and came into the room after the wine spilled." Judge Judy's eyes narrowed. "So you didn't actually see the dog knock over the glass?" The woman's voice dropped to barely a whisper. "No, Your Honor." Karen jumped in desperately. "But she saw Rebecca laughing about it afterward." Judge Judy held up one finger, silencing her instantly. "I'm not talking to you." She turned back to the witness. "Did you see her laughing?" The woman looked down at her lap, and in that moment the truth emerged. "Not exactly laughing, Your Honor. She was apologizing repeatedly. She seemed very upset, actually. If you're watching Karen's case fall apart in real time, show some love. Smash that like button if you think Judge Judy is about to deliver the most legendary ruling ever. Comment 'Justice served' if you believe Karen is getting exactly what she deserves. And subscribe because you won't believe what Judge Judy says next. This is about to get even better." Karen's second witness fared even worse. A young man who claimed to be Karen's friend admitted under Judge Judy's rapid-fire questioning that he'd actually left the party before the incident even occurred. "So you saw nothing," Judge Judy stated flatly. "I heard about it from Karen later," he mumbled. "Hearsay," Judge Judy said, dismissing him with a wave. "Completely worthless in my courtroom." Karen's third witness never even got called. Judge Judy had seen enough. She turned her attention back to the bag, holding it up for the entire courtroom to see. "This bag, which you claim is completely ruined and unwearable, has a tiny stain that could probably be cleaned with a damp cloth. But let's talk about something more interesting." She reached into the evidence pile and pulled out printed screenshots that Rebecca's lawyer had submitted. "Your defendant was smart enough to do some research. She found the exact same bag on the same resale website you bought from. Do you know what she discovered?" Karen's face drained of color. Judge Judy continued. "This bag, in used condition, was selling for $350. Not $1,500. $350. Karen's mouth opened, but no words came out. Judge Judy wasn't finished. "But here's where it gets really interesting. Rebecca also pulled your social media posts from the week before this party. Do you want to tell the court what you posted, or should I?" Karen remained silent, frozen in humiliation. Judge Judy read from a printout, her voice dripping with disdain. "Posted 6 days before the party. Looking for any reason to upgrade my bag collection. This old Prada needs to go. You literally posted that you wanted to get rid of this bag." The courtroom erupted in whispers. Someone in the gallery shouted, "She planned this!" Judge Judy slammed her hand on the bench. "Order!" The room fell silent immediately. She leaned forward, her eyes locked on Karen like a predator who'd cornered its prey. "You invited this girl to your home. Your dog caused an accident. And instead of being a gracious host, you saw an opportunity to scam someone into buying you a new bag. You fabricated this entire lawsuit." Karen tried one last desperate defense. "Your Honor, that's not—" "Be quiet." Judge Judy's voice thundered through the courtroom. "I have heard enough lies from you to last me a lifetime. You brought frivolous witnesses. You brought fake evidence. You brought a manufactured case. And worst of all, you wasted my time." She picked up her gavel and the entire courtroom held its breath. Judgment for the defendant, Rebecca Torres. Karen's face crumbled. "Not only are you getting nothing," Judge Judy continued, her voice ice cold, "but you owe Miss Torres $1,200 for emotional distress, harassment, and her time dealing with this absurd lawsuit. You will also pay all court costs." Karen's mouth fell open. $1,200? "Your Honor, that's not fair." "Fair?" Judge Judy's voice could have shattered glass. "You want to talk to me about fair? You tried to scam an innocent woman. You lied under oath. You brought fake witnesses. You wasted everyone's time with your entitled nonsense. $1,200 is me being generous. Now get out of my courtroom before I hold you in contempt." The gavel came down like thunder. The sound echoed through the silent room. Karen sat there stunned, unable to move. Bird stepped forward. "Ma'am, you need to exit." Rebecca, the defendant, had tears streaming down her face, but she was smiling. Justice had been served. Karen gathered her useless binders with shaking hands, her face burning red with shame. As she walked toward the exit, head down, Judge Judy called out one final time. "And Miss Mitchell?" Karen stopped and turned. "The next time you think about scamming someone, remember this moment. Remember that confidence without truth is just arrogance, And arrogance always loses. Karen said nothing. She simply walked out, and the courtroom doors closed behind her with a final damning click. The moment Karen left the courtroom, chaos erupted. Audience members immediately pulled out their phones. Reporters who'd been listening from outside rushed to get statements. Rebecca Torres stood outside the courthouse with tears of relief still streaming down her face. A reporter approached with a microphone. "Rebecca, how does it feel to have Judge Judy rule in your favor?" Rebecca's voice shook with emotion. "I've been so stressed for months. Karen made me feel like I was a terrible person for an accident that wasn't even my fault. Judge Judy saw right through her lies. I'm just so grateful." Within 2 hours, the clip exploded across every social media platform. The moment Karen said, "I don't fear you," and Judge Judy responded with, "That's your biggest mistake," became instant internet gold. The video hit 5 million views by evening, 15 million by midnight. By the end of the week, it surpassed 30 million views. Twitter erupted with reactions. One user wrote, "That moment Judge Judy took off her glasses. Karen should have just left the country." Another posted, 30 years of watching Judge Judy, and this is a top 5 all-time destruction. Legal experts weighed in on news programs. A retired judge commented, "Judge Sheindlin's ruling was textbook perfect. The plaintiff had no case, contradictory witnesses, and clear evidence of fraud. This should be taught in law schools." Memes flooded the internet. Karen's confident face alongside Judge Judy's deadly stare became the template for countless jokes about overconfidence meeting reality. Even late-night talk show hosts referenced it. One comedian quipped, "If you ever tell Judge Judy you don't fear her, just save everyone time and write the check before you walk in." This case wasn't really about a $350 handbag or a wine stain. It was about something far more important: accountability. In a world where people believe they can lie, manipulate, and bully their way through life, Judge Judy's courtroom remains one of the few places where that simply doesn't work. Karen Mitchell made 3 catastrophic mistakes. First, she underestimated her opponent. Judge Judy has presided over thousands of cases and seen every trick, every lie, every manipulation tactic imaginable. Second, she confused confidence with competence, believing that loud voices and thick binders could replace actual truth. Third, and most fatally, she said those 5 words, "I don't fear you." In Judge Judy's courtroom, fear isn't required, but respect and honesty absolutely are. For over 25 years, Judge Judith Sheindlin has been dispensing justice, wisdom, and reality checks to people who desperately need them. She doesn't coddle feelings. She doesn't accept excuses. She doesn't tolerate lies, and that's exactly why millions love her. The real hero of this story was Rebecca Torres, a young woman who stood up to a bully, gathered her evidence, told the truth, and won. That's the message we should all remember. When you're in the right, stand firm. Truth has power. As for Karen, she learned the hardest lesson of her life that day. She walked into that courtroom thinking she was invincible. She left knowing she was very, very wrong. And somewhere, Judge Judy picked up the next case file, adjusted her glasses, and prepared to do it all over again. Because justice doesn't take days off. And neither does Judge Judy. If this story of courtroom justice inspired you, made you believe in accountability, or just reminded you why Judge Judy is a national treasure, don't leave yet. Smash that like button to support real justice content. Drop a comment with your favorite Judge Judy moment. We read every single one. And subscribe to this channel if you believe that courage, honesty, and truth still matter in this world. We're bringing you more legendary courtroom moments every week. Together, we're not just viewers, we're witnesses to justice. This channel is just getting started. God bless Judge Judy, and God bless everyone who stands up for what's right.